Even with the timeout, Bush in the backfield gets, no, it's Campbell. What a fake. Campbell taken off on the bootleg and a touchdown for the Raiders. An excellent execution by Jason Campbell. Really.
Jason Campbell was a two-star athlete coming out of a small town in Mississippi. While he was in Mississippi, he played both football and basketball out of high school. Now, his initial first love was basketball and thoughts of becoming a basketball player in the future. Now, Jason Campbell had an older brother that was 6 years older than him who went to Mississippi State to play football. And his older brother had dreams of playing in the NFL. In his very last college football game, he would suffer a major back injury, slip his disc, which would ruin his chances of becoming a pro NFL player. Now that Jason Campbell was a two-star athlete, he ended up just deciding to go with football. Now, when Jason Campbell was done with high school, it was time to be recruited, and he was recruited by 4 major schools, those being LSU, University of Georgia, University of Tennessee, and the University of Auburn. Now, Jason Campbell wanted to stay closer to home, so he ended up choosing the Auburn Tigers, which was about 4 hours away from his house. While Jason Campbell played for the Auburn Tigers for 4 years, in his entire college football career, Jason Campbell passed for 7,299 passing yards, threw for 45 touchdowns to 24 picks, and completed 64% of his passes. His best year came in 2004, where the Auburn squad went undefeated in college football, but would not be eligible to play in the national championship, which this team right here, because they had 3 undefeated squads, but Auburn was the odd man out. And Jason Campbell was part of a team that would change the playoff seedings that we currently have in college football. Now, in Jason Campbell's senior year, he passed for 2,700 passing yards, threw for 20 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, and completing 69% of his passes and becoming one of the best quarterbacks to play for Auburn. And now it was time for the NFL draft, and Jason Campbell was drafted 25th overall in the 2005 NFL draft as the Washington Redskins traded up to get him at pick number 25. Jason Campbell played for the Redskins for 5 seasons, and during those 5 seasons started 4 years. Jason Campbell played with 2 different head coaches and 3 different offensive coordinators. Despite that, and playing in a whole bunch of different schemes and systems, Jason Campbell got better every year he was with Washington in completion percentage, passing yards, and in touchdowns. But despite all of this, the Washington Redskins wanted to go in a different direction, so they end up trading him to the Oakland Raiders. Now, being traded to Oakland, Jason Campbell was expected to take over the spot of the current quarterback at the time, Jamarcus Russell. And Al Davis really liked Jason Campbell, so much so that he said that he saw Jason Campbell as the next Jim Plunkett. If you guys aren't familiar, you guys already know Jim Plunkett gets drafted by the New England Patriots, doesn't work out there, but comes to the Raiders and ends up having pretty much a Hall of Fame career. And I'm not gonna lie, when I found out we were trading for Jason Campbell, I was pretty happy. I remember I was in high school and I was already a fan of Jason Campbell, and the fact that he was coming to my favorite football team, it made me feel like he was the guy that was going to be in the silver and black for years and years and years to come. But everything didn't start off so easy for the quarterback Jason Campbell when he came to Oakland. In his very first year, he had a lot of rough starts in the beginning of the season. In his first ever game as a Oakland Raider, Jason Campbell struggled with the offense.
Average just under 11. High snap! Campbell forced to go back to get it and now trying to improvise. The backfield. Campbell. And he is dumped! 16. Raiders have been moving in the wrong direction on offense. Campbell trying to set up the deep ball. Second game of his rookie season. Rush coming. Oh, smothered. Campbell loses the football. Jacob Ford came busting through. Titans claim they've got a touchdown. They do. For the Raiders, Miller shifts out of the backfield into the slot. Campbell, rush coming. Intercepted. Picked off by Chris Hope. Down the sideline and a dive by Hope.
sacked 4 times in the game, fumbled the ball 3 times, end up losing one of them. He ended up passing for 180 yards and threw a touchdown and an interception. Now that was just the first game against the Tennessee Titans. We got blown out. So maybe week 2, the following week, would be better. And unfortunately, it was not better for Jason.
2nd and 10. Pressure ball's loose. Recovers his own fumble. Does Campbell. Right, 3rd and 10. Pressure ball's loose. Recovered by the Raiders. 3rd and 10. Pressure on the outside. Laurinaitis with the key sack. So Laurinaitis on the blitz. Pumping. Looking for the crosser. Goes the other way. Ill-advised throw, and it's picked off by James Butler. He tried to force that one in the area of 3 Ram defenders intended for Lewis Murphy and the Bluebird.
Now, Jason Campbell struggled for the 2nd week in a row as he would end up getting benched at halftime. Going into halftime, he only had 87 passing yards and an interception. Now, he would be replaced by Bruce Gradkowski, and while he was in the lineup, the offense played a little bit better. So now the Raiders coaching staff had to make a tough decision, and for the next 2 weeks, they decided to bench Jason Campbell in favor of Bruce Gradkowski. And for the next 2 weeks, week 3 and week 4, the offense looked better with number 5 under center. And I know it had to hurt Jason's confidence at this time. He's brought in, he's traded to this team to be the guy, and the backup quarterback is playing a little bit more efficient than him at the time. Bruce would continue to be the starter up until week 5 when they were playing against the San Diego Chargers. But number 5 would be injured in the first half of this game, which led the team to make Jason the starter yet again. And in that game, he played very well. He ended up having 159 passing yards and 1 single touchdown. After this win, the coaching staff decided that it was now a good time to put Jason Campbell back in the lineup, and he would be the starter for the remainder of the 2010 NFL season.
Zach Miller, the motion man. Campbell on the outside. Miller pulls it in. What a grab! Campbell, short drop. He's got time, now forced out of the pocket. Campbell on the move, throwing on the run, and caught in traffic. Bush picks up the driving Halil. Campbell floats it, forward under. Oh, what a catch! At the pass to the fullback. Reese's got it, and he's gone. A man wide open, Bay, and he'll score. Campbell for 4. Oh, what a catch! He beat
In the backfield, gets... No, it's Campbell. What a fake. Campbell taken off on the bootleg and a touchdown for the Raiders.
Campbell. Oh,
Campbell, that option shut down now. Lost it to Bush, who has it.
don't know if he's going to return. 1st and 10 for Campbell. Going for Boss. Campbell from the gun. Steps. Campbell throws on the move. Wide open. Josh Shillings. Touchdown, Oakland. They fake the end around. Campbell deep middle. He's got a man across midfield. Held near the block at the left tackle. Going deep for more. Oh, what a catch! Touchdown, Raiders! Hayward Bay flank wide to the left for this 3rd and 8. Campbell gets the protection, taking advantage of that big hole. And he's taken down at the marker by Chris Nokog, and he is shaken up.
Well, that's never a good sign when you see your backup quarterback and Jason Campbell clutching that right arm. You wonder if it's his collarbone. He gets... Well, you watch the end of the play, and he comes down right on that right shoulder. He's trying to get the first down, and right there at the end, you're going to see him get squeezed. I believe that's Scott Fujita. And you can see him grab that right shoulder right away.
Jason Campbell assumed that he would always be the starting quarterback, but just a couple of days later, the Raiders would make this bizarre move that would shock not only a lot of NFL fans, but would change the life of Jason Campbell.
And Mark Badane, Tom Delaney, and Dan Ventrelli, those guys, they've been amazing over the last several hours as we were able to put together what I think is probably the greatest trade in football, in my opinion. Obviously, I think everybody knows that we needed to go out and address our quarterback situation. I told you guys the other day that I was going to continue to search, look, do everything I could to help this football team to become all it can be. That's my job as the head coach and the leader of this team. So what I set out to do was find the person that I would feel comfortable with coming in here, helping me lead this football team.
At that point, you know, when you trade 2 first-round picks, you're basically gonna keep that guy on the team. Jason Campbell said that this pretty much destroyed his confidence.
2011, before I broke my collarbone. You know, that was kind of devastating a little bit because it was my contract year, and you're 28 years old, everything's going right for you. You get to make that next step in your life and your career, and boom, you have a big injury like that. Like most quarterbacks, when they get hurt and they're playing really well, they get their job back. And the fact that I didn't, it kind of stung me.
And if you guys haven't seen this, now a lot of people say that that trade was caused by our head coach at the time, Hugh Jackson. But I got the chance to interview Hugh Jackson, and this is what he had to say about the Carson Palmer trade.
I know this next question, man, the Carson Palmer trade, man. I know you had connections with Carson Palmer, and was it true that you were the one that recruited him to USC?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I recruited him to USC, but I didn't recruit him to the Raiders.
Yes.
That was Mark Davis. A lot of people give me a lot of grief about that. Of, boy, you brought Carson there, and boy, you know.
Oh, so that wasn't you?
No.
Oh. Okay.
What it was because of my relationship with him, and like you said, I recruited him to USC, had coached him at USC, and was with him in Cincinnati. The first thing was, it must be Hugh. But Mark was the one that made that happen.
If you guys want to check out the rest of that interview, please go on to my second channel, Byron Live Interviews, where I have interviews of former Raider players, coaches, and everything, and it mean a lot if you guys could go over there and subscribe and watch that. But anyways, back to the video. So after this, sadly, this will be the last time ever that Jason Campbell will be looked as a starter in the NFL. So obviously with the trade, they were going to stick with Carson Palmer. And Jason has said a lot of times that he felt that he was the right guy for the team. And now that Carson Palmer is the quarterback, Jason was the odd man out. And unfortunately, after the 2011 season, he was no longer an Oakland Raider. Now going to 2012, Jason Campbell would sign with the Chicago Bears, but not as a starter, but to be a backup for quarterback Jay Cutler at the time. Did not get much playing time. In fact, he wouldn't get his first ever start with the Chicago Bears until week 11, and it was only because Jay Cutler was ruled out with a concussion for that game. But unfortunately, Jason Campbell would finish that game with 107 passing yards, 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions, and he would be sacked 6 times in this game, also fumbling the ball twice. It didn't work out for him in Chicago, and he finished that season with 265 passing yards, 2 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Now, after that short stint in Chicago, he was basically looked at in the NFL as a backup that couldn't be a starter anymore. And Jason wanted to prove to people that he can still be a starting quarterback. So after that season in 2013, he would sign with the Cleveland Browns to be a backup to the quarterback of Brandon Weeden at the time. Now, Jason assumed that he was going to be the second string quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And then later on, getting towards that season, they let him know that he's going to be demoted to third string in favor of Brian Hoyer. I mean, I couldn't imagine how that felt for Jason and what that does for your confidence as a quarterback. Now, Jason Campbell would get his first start of the regular season in week 8 because Brian Hoyer had injuries and so did Brandon Weeden. So they threw in Jason Campbell, and Jason Campbell would play the remainder of that season. He finished the season with 2,015 yards passing, 11 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, and completing 56% of his passes. But Just like with all his other teams, after that 1 year, they had let him go. So now the 2014 season, and he gets a call from a certain offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. Who is that offensive coordinator? It's his former head coach, Hugh Jackson. He calls him up and says, would he be interested in being a backup role to the quarterback of Andy Dalton? They talked on the phone, and Hugh Jackson apologized for the whole situation that happened in Oakland. So like I said, I don't know if he was apologizing because that was a move he made, or he apologized because that was a move that the organization made. But hey, Jason Campbell agreed to come to Cincinnati. And unfortunately, when he got there, didn't get a lot of playing time. And in his whole season of being the backup to Andy Dalton, Jason Campbell finished just 74 passing yards for the Cincinnati Bengals. And unfortunately, that was pretty much it for Jason Campbell. Now in 2015, there were teams that reached out to Jason Campbell to serve as a backup role, but he declined a lot of offers. One of those offers coming from the Indianapolis Colts, who needed a backup for quarterback Matt Hasselbeck, as Andrew Luck had injuries. But like I said, I think after a while, Jason just got tired of going somewhere to be the backup, and then after that 1 year, it was over. He lost the passion for the game, and it really just hurt his confidence because it was still that lingering effect of what happened to him in 2011. And unfortunately, man, that's the end of his career. Now, Jason Campbell currently has his own podcast of a co-host of his, and they talk about Auburn football. There's going to be a link in the description right here, and this is where you can check out his podcast. And it seems like that's his passion now. Goes back to where the times where he was the happiest, and that was at the University of Auburn. And I'm just, like I said, I hope everything's good with you, Jason. I know your career didn't turn out how it could have been, and like I said, I was very excited for you in Oakland, and unfortunately things didn't work out, man. But I just want you to know this, Jason, despite all the stuff that happened to you in the NFL, if there's one thing I could let you know, is that the Raider Nation loves you. We appreciate everything that you tried to do in Oakland, and sadly it came down to an unfortunate situation. But I just want to let you know, man, the nation still loves you guys. And Raider Nation, if you guys could do me this quick favor, this is his Instagram, as you guys know, some of you already know. Just give him some words of encouragement, comment on one of his posts, let him know how much we care about him, and no negative stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave this picture here, man, that hey, Jason Campbell, the nation still loves you. Hope everything's well. Hope you chase all your dreams. And Raider Nation, if you guys can do me a favor as well, man, one last favor. If you guys could subscribe to my 2 channels that I have. I can't put the interviews on this channel anymore, so I'm going to put them on a different channel, which is Byron Live Interviews. If you guys could subscribe over there, I'm planning on doing bigger things and interviewing other players and everything like that. You guys could hit subscribe, it would mean a lot to me. And then I have my other channel, Byron Live Reacts, where basically I just react to all the dumb stuff I've said on this channel and try to make it a little bit funny and humorous. So if you guys could go there, click subscribe. Links will be down in the description. Can't wait till Raiders football comes back, and I will talk to you guys next time.